Have you ever thought about the U.S. legal system? Not as some dusty old rulebook, but as a living, breathing story. It's really a tale of revolution, conflict, and just constant change, written over centuries. Okay, let's dive into this and explore the incredible evolution of American law.
This right here, this single idea, is pretty much the engine driving our entire story. It's the core principle that we're going to see tested and redefined again and again. It's not just about a set of rules. It's about this constant search for balance in a world that, never stops changing.
And here's our roadmap for this journey. We'll start way back in the colonial era with the roots of our law, then we'll see the huge legal break during the Revolution, explore the brilliant blueprint that is the Constitution, and finally, see how it all holds up against the wild challenges of today.
So our journey begins before the United States was even a country, with these big ideas that crossed the Atlantic Ocean and really took on a life of their own.
The colonists didn't just invent law from scratch. They brought with them these super powerful principles from English common law. The big one is judicial precedent, which is basically the idea that court decisions should be consistent, that they should build on what came before. This created stability, and maybe most radically, it introduced this idea that no one, not even a king, is above the law. A huge deal.
And that's exactly where the tensions started to build. You can see the clash right here. On one side, you have Britain imposing its will with taxes and restrictions, and on the other, the colonists are demanding a say in their own laws, the consent of the governed. This wasn't just some political fight, it was a fundamental legal disagreement about who actually had the right to make the rules.
So, after winning their independence, the founders faced an even bigger challenge. How do you build a totally new legal system from the ground up? One that would actually safeguard the very freedoms they had just fought and died for.
And this was their revolutionary solution. It was kind of a genius move, really. Instead of putting all the power in one place, they split it into three co-equal branches. You've got the legislative branch that makes the laws, the executive that carries them out, and the judicial branch that interprets them. It was a brilliant design to prevent another king from ever rising up.
But a lot of people were still afraid the new government could become too powerful. And the answer to that fear was the Bill of Rights. Think about it. Freedom of speech, due process, fair trials, these protections, written way back in 1791, are the exact same freedoms we debate and rely on every single day. They really became the legal heart of American identity.
Okay, so the founders created this incredible new system, but there was this huge piece of the puzzle still missing. Who gets the final say on what all these new laws and rules actually mean?
This was the critical question. You've got this amazing new rulebook, the Constitution, but who acts as the ultimate referee when, say, the president and Congress disagree on the rules? For a little while there, the answer was, well, nobody really knew. Until this, a seemingly minor political squabble back in 1803, a case called Marbury v. Madison, would end up defining the power of the American judiciary forever.
And this was the answer: judicial review. In Marbury v. Madison, the Supreme Court essentially gave itself this power. The crucial thing to get here is that the court asserted its authority to strike down any law from Congress or any action by the president if it went against the Constitution. This one brilliant move elevated the judicial branch into a truly equal partner in government. It was a total game changer.
So, having a framework is one thing, but how does it actually hold up under pressure? Well, the next chapter of our story shows how the nation's biggest conflicts became the very forces that reshaped and strengthened its laws. Just look at this timeline. Moments of intense crisis, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement, were almost always followed by these periods of profound legal change. The system wasn't breaking, it was being reforged in the fires of conflict.
You don't have to look any further than the aftermath of the Civil War. We see here the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. They're often called the Reconstruction Amendments, but honestly, it's better to think of them as a second founding for the nation. They didn't just tweak the law, they fundamentally remade it by abolishing slavery, defining citizenship, and guaranteeing equal protection and voting rights. And the legal battles over what they truly mean, they're still going on today.
And that brings us into the modern era, where the pace of change has just exploded, forcing the law to adapt to challenges the founders could never, ever have imagined.
For example, consumer protection. As mass production just blew up in the 20th century, the simple contract laws from the 1700s just weren't enough anymore.
society demanded new rules to make sure everyday products were safe and that advertising was actually honest. Then, a growing awareness of our impact on the planet gave rise to a whole new field, environmental law. All of a sudden, the legal system had to figure out how to regulate pollution and protect natural resources, ideas that were completely missing from the original Constitution.
And today, we're right in the middle of the next great legal challenge, digital privacy. How does a right to privacy that was dreamed up in an age of handwritten letters and physical property apply in a world of smartphones and social media? The law is scrambling to catch up, and that evolution is happening right now, as we speak.
And this really just captures the essence of it all, doesn't it? The U.S. legal system survives and thrives because it has this dual nature. It's got a solid anchor, the Constitution and the rule of law, but it also has the flexibility to adapt as our values and our world change around it.
So that leaves us with a final, really fascinating question. As we face challenges like AI, climate change, and genetic engineering, the law is going to have to evolve again. The story isn't over, we are living in the next chapter. So what do you think it's going to look like?